Job 33. However, I beg you, Job, listen to my words. Give ear to all my statements. Behold, I have opened my mouth now. My tongue speaks with my palate. My pronouncements express the uprightness of my heart, and the knowledge of my lips speaks clearly. The Spirit of God has made me, and a soul from the Almighty gives me life. If you can, answer me. State your case before me and stand firm. Behold, I represent God, as you requested, though I too am fashioned from clay. Behold, fear of me should not intimidate you. Let my authority not overwhelm you. Indeed, you said in my ears, and I heard the sound of those words, I am innocent, without sin. I am pure, and there is no transgression in me. Behold, he seeks pretexts against me. He considers me his enemy. He placed my feet in fetters, scrutinizes all my paths. Behold, I will answer you that in this you are incorrect, for God is greater than man. Why do you complain against him that he does not answer all of man's statements? For God speaks once and sees no need for twice. In a dream, a vision of the night, when a deep sleep falls over people, during slumbers upon the bed, then he uncovers people's ears and seals their affliction in order to divert a person from his planned action and to suppress pride from man, thus sparing his soul from the grave and his life from perishing by the sword, in order to divert a person from his planned action and to suppress pride from man, thus sparing his soul from the grave and his life from perishing by the sword. And so he is afflicted with pain upon his bed and upon the multitude of his strong bones. His being finds food loathsome, and his soul rejects enticing foods. His flesh is consumed from sight. His bulging bones become unseen. His soul approaches the grave, and his being the killer's. If there will be for someone but a single defending angel out of 1,000 to declare a man's uprightness on his behalf, then God will be gracious to him and say, redeem him from going down to the grave. I have found him atonement. His flesh has revived as from childhood, and he will return his days of youthfulness. He entreats God, and he accepts him. He appears before him in prayer, and he recompenses man for his righteousness. He then goes around to people and says, I have sinned. I have made crooked that which was straight, but to no avail. For God absolved him from passing into the grave, so that his being might see the light. Behold, God does all these things with man 2 or 3 times to bring back his soul from the grave, to bask in the light of the living. Hearken, Job, and listen to me. Be still, I will speak. If there are words, answer me. Speak, for I wish to vindicate you. If there are not, you listen to me. Be still, and I will teach you wisdom. Job 34. Elihu then spoke up and said, Hear my words, O wise men. Men of knowledge, give ear to me. For an ear can discern words as a palate can taste for eating. Let us choose judgment for ourselves. Let us decide among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I was righteous, and God has taken away my justice. I claim my judgment was deceitful. My wound was grave without guilt. Who is a man like Job, who drinks corn like water, who goes toward a company of workers of iniquity, to walk with men of wickedness, and who has said, a man has nothing to gain by pleasing God. Therefore, you men with understanding hearts, listen to me. To do evil is sacrilegious to God, and iniquity to the Almighty. For he repays the deeds of man, and causes man to find according to his conduct. Surely God will not act wickedly, and the Almighty will not pervert justice. Who gave him command over the earth, and who placed the entire inhabited world under him? If he were to set his heart against someone, he would simply gather in his spirit and his soul to himself. All flesh would expire together, and man would return to the dust. But if you seek understanding, listen to this. Give ear to the sound of my words. Would God heal someone who despises justice? Would you declare the mighty righteous one to be wicked? Can one say to a king, You are lawless, or to princes, wicked one. Surely not of the one who does not favor leaders, nor lets a noble be given recognition over a pauper, for they are all his handiwork. In one moment they die. In the middle of the night the people fall into turmoil and pass away. And the mighty are removed without physical force, for his eyes are upon man's ways, and he sees all his steps. There is no darkness and no shadow of death where evildoers can be hidden. For he does not impose too much upon man, so that they could come before God for justice. He smashes mighty men without calculation and sets up others in their place, because he knows their works. He turns over the night and crushes them. He strikes the wicked in their places, in a place of witnesses, because they turned away from following him and did not contemplate all his ways, causing the cry of the needy to come before him. And he hears the cry of the poor. When he grants a person serenity, who can cause that person turmoil? And when he hides his face from a person, who can take note of him? Upon a nation or upon an individual, all are alike. He removes the hypocrite from kingship, that the people not become ensnared. For to God one should say, I accept my suffering, and I will no longer harm myself. Besides what I see, you teach me. If I have done wrong, I will not continue. Must God have your consent to punish, that you can reject it? God says, will you choose and not I? Say now, whatever you know. People of understanding heart say this to me, and the wise man listens to me. Job does not speak with knowledge, and his words are without intelligence. My desire is that Job be disproven forever, as a rebuttal for men of wrongdoing. For he adds rebellion to his error by speaking so profusely among us, and utters too many pronouncements against God. Job 35. Elihu then spoke up and said, do you consider this, when you say my righteousness is greater than God's, to be just? And when you say, what benefit is there for you in my righteousness? What does it avail me more than my sinfulness? I will reply with words to you and to your friends with you. Look at the heavens and see. Gaze at the skies that tower above you. If you have sinned, how have you affected him? If your transgressions multiply, what have you done to him? If you were righteous, what have you given him? Or what has he taken from your hand? Your wickedness is of concern to a man like yourself, and your righteousness to a human being. The wicked cause many victims to scream. They cry out because of the strong-armed oppressors. And none of them said, where is the God who made me, who gives songs at night, who makes us more knowing than the beasts of the land, and makes us wiser than the birds of the sky? There they will cry out, but he will not answer, because of the pride of the evil ones. It will be only for naught, for God will not listen, and the Almighty will not look. Although you may say that you cannot see him, yet there is judgment before him, and you should place your hope in him. So now, know that his anger against you is comparatively nothing, as if he did not know the vastness of your guilt. Job opens his mouth with nonsense. He multiplies verbiage without knowledge. Job 36. Elihu continued and said, wait for me a bit, and I'll tell you. For there are more words on God's behalf. I will raise my knowledge from afar. I will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For in truth, my words are not false. God is perfect in his knowledge of you. Behold, God is mighty and does not despise. He is mighty in the strength of his heart. He will not keep the wicked alive. He will not grant justice to the poor. He will not remove his eyes from a righteous man until he is on the throne with kings. He will seat them there forever, and they will become exalted. And if they are shackled in fetters, trapped in ropes of affliction, he thus informs them of their errant deeds and their transgressions, for they have become overpowering. He opened their ears to discipline and said that they should turn back from wrongdoing. If they will listen and serve him, then they will finish their days in goodness and their years in pleasantness. But if they will not listen, they will pass away by the sword and expire for lack of knowledge. And those with insincere hearts will bring on God's anger. They should not cry out to him when he afflicts them. Their soul will die in their youth, and their life among the promiscuous. But he will extricate a poor man from his sins through his poverty, and open their ears through oppression. He has led you out as well from a constricted entrance into a broad place with no narrowness at its bottom, so that your table might be full of rich foods. So if you have been filled with the fate of a wicked man, this sentence and judgment will sustain you, lest God's wrath lead you out, along with your affluence, and even a large ransom would not return you. Would your wealth avail you? Not in adversity, nor would all the power of your strength. Do not desire the night when peoples are cut down in their places. Be careful. Do not turn to wrongdoing, for this is what you have chosen over submission. Behold, in his omnipotence, God will raise up. Who can instruct as he does? Who could have designated his course for him? And who could have said, you have committed iniquity? Remember, so that you will extol his works, of which men sing. All men have seen them. A person views it from afar. Behold, God is mightier than we can know. The number of his years is beyond calculation. For he proliferates water droplets. Rain is distilled to form its clouds, so that the heavens may drip water, pouring it out over a multitude of people. Can a person even understand the spreading out of the thick cloud, or the dark clouds of his canopy? Behold, he spreads his rain over it, and covers over the roots of the sea. For through them he judges peoples, and he gives food to people with abundance. He covers the clouds with rain, and commands it upon those who entreat him. Its thunder announces it, but a provoked anger ascends above. In chapter 15, Eliphaz asks Job, who are you to question God? But in chapter 13, Job is absolutely asking God, God, tell me what it is that I've done wrong. Why have you not forgiven me from my sins? Apparently, this is not something that you are supposed to do, but we know that Hashem loves Job. Maybe the reason that Hashem loves Job is because Job is sitting here crying out the way that he does with confidence. In chapter 15 and in chapter 17, Gehinnom and hell are both mentioned. Now, Gehinnom is like this really terrible valley. Hell is like a state of being. Both suck. Both are miserable. Both are places that you don't want to go. Like Azazel on the Day of Atonement when they kill the goat and then they take the other goat and they say, go away. They send it to a place called Azazel. You don't want to go there. I don't know the details about it, but it's a place where they warn you, you're going to go to Azazel. And people say, no, I don't want to. Oh. In chapter 21, Job, he says to his friends, because he's going to try one more time to explain to them how they're wrong. He says, friends, bear with me. Listen to what I have to say, and then you can mock me. This is beautiful because it's not veiled. They are mocking him, and he's calling it exactly for what it is. He's not trying to be grateful for their horrible and miserable advice. He's telling them, please shut up. Please stop talking. So this is a story written by Moses. We know that this is describing a man who has a set of beliefs, and he has faith in those beliefs. So then he is tested to see how strong is he going to hold on to this belief system. Those representing themselves as ambassadors of God are actually instruments of Satan, and their tactics are shame and guilt. And it's the hope that this guilt will provoke Job into blaspheming God. Neither of these strategies worked. But if he follows their teachings, then he will be abandoning his relationship with Hashem. Now, this is a bombshell. That's it. Thank you for watching. The NQE is out.